Good morning and a very warm welcome. You're watching JanataTelevision HD and this is the English Bulletin with me, Prajwal Nepali. The top stories first. Central Bank unveils monetary policy for the current fiscal year, focuses on revival of COVID-19 affected industries. House panel directs government to keep record of people crossing the border, says such move is imperative to curb human trafficking. Active membership draws concern of NC leaders, central members to fix new date for the party's general convention. Diplomats prepare to exit as Taliban approach Kabul, US troops arriving in Afghanistan to evacuate diplomats. And Brentford returns to Premier League after 74 years, beat Arsenal on the opening match. And now the news in detail. Nepal Rashtra Bank has unveiled the monetary policy for the current fiscal year with an objective to revive and promote the industries and enterprises affected by COVID-19, a report. Nepal Rashtra Bank's Governor Mahaprasad Adhikari unveiled the policy giving continuation to the loan to restore the businesses plagued by the impacts of COVID-19. The monetary policy for the current fiscal year addresses the concern of the hotels, tourism, and aviation sectors that have been hardest hit by the pandemic since its outbreak in the country in January 2020. It also pays special attention to those sectors facing issues in cash flow due to COVID-19. The policy has provision to provide loan up to Rs 200,000 for the maintenance of public transportation that were also affected due to the pandemic. The new monetary policy has also expanded the scope of mobilization of financial resources. Governor Adhikari said that remittance is coming to the country in high volume, boosting the consumption and increasing the people's purchasing power. Those depositing the remittance in the banks and financial institutions could get additional 1% interest as well, he added. The Women and Social Committee of the House of Representatives has directed the government to keep record of the people crossing the checkpoints so that it would be easy to curb human trafficking. The committee said that the security management along the border could be strengthened by not going against international commitment on people's right to free movement, adding that the smooth and effective regulation of checkpoints would help identify the victim and oppressors. The line ministries have been directed to ensure coordination among all three levels of the governments and organizations working against human trafficking. Similarly, the Ministry of Women has been directed to mobilize the organizations in the vulnerable areas, conduct programs to ensure women's access to education, and empower people financially to reduce human trafficking. During the committee meeting on Friday, member Narayan Khateola wondered why the records maintained by the government and non-government organizations on violence against women were different. Majority of Nepali Congress leaders attending the Central Working Committee meeting on Friday expressed concern regarding the issue of the party's active membership. As per the report prepared by the committee formed investigate the active membership, there are currently 852,711 active members in the party. The meeting is likely to determine the new date for the party's 14th National Convention. Earlier, the NC had decided to hold its 14th National Convention from September 1 to 4 this year. However, a new date will be fixed after listening to what all the Central Committee members have to say about it. The invited Central members have warned of quitting the party en masse if their claim of becoming the National Convention representatives was not implemented. The committee kicked off since Thursday at the personal residence of NC President and Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba at Bunanilkantha. The next meeting will be held at 2 o'clock today, according to NC Party Office Chief Secretary Krishna Prasad Paudel. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. Now we continue with other national news. The government yesterday confirmed a total of 3,915 new cases of COVID-19 across the country. According to the Ministry of Home Affairs, the total caseload of COVID-19 has climbed to 728,532. In its routine virtual press meet, the ministry added that the number of active cases has climbed to 38,798. Among them, 35,518 have been receiving treatment in home isolation and 3,280 in institutional isolation. Similarly, 736 are being treated at ICUs, 186 are receiving ventilator support, and 439 are in quarantine. Likewise, 2,118 people recovered from the disease yesterday, taking the total number of recoveries to 679,495. The recovery rate stands at 93.3% in the country. Meanwhile, 27 people succumbed to the disease yesterday, taking the COVID-19 death toll to 10,239. And now the news from economic front. The government has decided to provide loan at base interest rate to develop COVID-19 vaccines. Arrangements will be made for banks and financial institutions to provide loans at base rate to the industries which want to produce standard vaccines against the infection, said Central Bank's Governor Mahaprasad Adhikari while unveiling the monetary policy for the current fiscal year. The government is reportedly working to produce COVID-19 vaccines. Similarly, arrangement will be made for the banks and financial institutions to provide loans in an easy format to establish a hospital with up to 100 beds at a local level. Time for a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international news. Welcome back. Now the international news. The first U.S. troops are arriving in Afghanistan to help diplomatic staff and other leaves as many countries scramble to evacuate workers and citizens amid the rapid Taliban advance. On Friday, militants captured Pulelam, capital of Logar province, just 80 kilometers from the capital Kabul. The UN chief said the situation was spinning out of control with devastating consequences for civilians. More than 250,000 people have been forced to leave their homes as so far. The Taliban advance comes as US and other foreign troops withdraw after 20 years of military operations. Life under the Taliban in the 1990s saw women forced to wear the all-covering burqa, education restricted for girls over 10, and brutal punishment including public executions. Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby called the recent advances deeply concerning but downplayed any suggestion that Kabul was under imminent threat from the group. Most of the 3,000 troops being sent to help evacuate U.S. diplomatic staff will arrive by the end of the weekend. The U.S. intends to airlift the thousands of people a day out of Kabul. You're watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. Brentford celebrated their return to the top tier after 74 years absence with a memorable, magnificent victory over woeful Arsenal as they opened their Premier League campaign in style. Thomas Frank's side made a perfect start to the season, inflicting serious pain on the Gunners in a sobering 90 minutes for the visitors. Brentford fully deserved the lead given to them after 22 minutes after Sergi Canos dropped low past keeper Bernd Leno at the near post. Brentford keeper David Raya also brilliantly denied Nicolas Pepe later before the home fans exploded in the noise and elation when they scored a second with 77 minutes left. We're at the end of Janata Bulletin and the headlines once again. Central Bank unveils monetary policy for the current fiscal year, focuses on revival of COVID-19 affected industries. House panel directs government to keep record of people crossing the border, says such move is imperative to curb human trafficking. Active membership draws concern of ANC leaders, central members to fix new date for the party's general convention. Diplomats prepared to exit as Taliban approach Kabul, US troops arriving in Afghanistan to evacuate the diplomats. And Brentford returns to Premier League after 74 years, beat Arsenal on the opening match. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including at janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television HD. Thank you for watching. Namaste.